What's up, y'all? This is J. Cole, and you are now watching Brand New.
Hello and what's good, and welcome back to another BNz World Report. I'm Christopher Martin, and I'm going to bring you a brief week in review of some of the stories from our News to Know section here at Brand News. But before I go any further, you know how I got to do. I want to thank each and every one of you on behalf of Team BNZ and myself for hooking us up with great leads to great stories, especially for the encouraging messages about the news and important information we provide here at Brand News. So without further ado, let's report some. Our first News to Know story comes from Afro.com. A great church delivers funds to save a great college, Morris Brown College. Cascade United Methodist Church in Atlanta presented a check for $22,000 on August 14th. The 131-year-old college lost its accreditation with the Southern States Association of Colleges and Schools in 2002 because of its financial problems. It can be reaccredited if it has some debt, but it must be at a level found acceptable by the accrediting body. Morris Brown has applied for accreditation with the Transnational Association of Christian Colleges and Schools. Cascade Methodist was one of the several churches that responded to the college's crisis and have representatives on hand at the Cascade 8 a.m. service with the check. And it was presented to the president. Congratulations to President Pritchard, Morris Brown College, and God bless you, Cascade, for stepping up in the school's time of need. Our next story in the News to Know section of brandnews.com is from The Griot, and it reads, Why Black Women Were Crucial to the Civil Rights Movement. Rosa Parks, Coretta Scott King, Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, Dorothy Height, Satima Clark, Marion Wright Elderman, Maury Evers, and Constance Baker Motley. We all know their names because these are some of the more notable names on a very long list of unsung Black heroines who marched, sat, rode, bled, and died in the struggle for the equality during the Civil Rights Movement. However, as hundreds of thousands and perhaps millions will gather in Washington, D.C. to honor the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., writer Sophia A. Nelson can't help but wonder, when will Black women of that era finally get their due? She's not necessarily calling for the establishment of a new memorial in honor of Black women on the National Mall, but suggesting that in this age of Michelle Obama, that we start to acknowledge and celebrate the incredible sacrifices and service of the Black women who did so much of that important work that helped propel the civil rights movement forward. Whenever we see the newsreels from that time, we see Black men in the room with President J.F. Kennedy or President Lyndon Johnson. We see Black men in the great struggle leading the way, making the decisions and fighting the good fight. With the exception of Rosa Parks, who refused to give up her seat one day, we rarely see images of Black women from that era or freedom sisters as they have come to be known, sitting at the table of negotiation, decision, or action. Today, we now have Black women billionaires like Sheila Johnson and Oprah Winfrey. We have Black Fortune 10 CEOs like Ursula Burns. We have a Black First Lady in Michelle Obama. We have Black female lawyers, doctors, scientists, engineers, college presidents, and even astronauts. We've come a long way. And although historians now openly acknowledge that Black women were pivotal in the critical battles for racial equality, the recent deaths of Dr. Dorothy Height, Clara Lepper, Coretta Scott King, and Rosa Parks highlight the fact that very few female civil rights figures were widely known. While we feel joy and a sense of accomplishment that Dr. King is now memorialized in stone on the National's Capitol Mall, Sophia Nelson can't help but feel that once again Black women who loyally carry out the race once again through one of our most challenging hours are expected to be seen and not heard, silent and supportive, and in doing so forgotten. Sophia A. Nelson is the author of the book Black Women Defined, Dispelling Myths and Discovering Fulfillment in the Age of Michelle Obama. I encourage you all to check this out. Now on to our special Team BNZ story from Mr. J. Sweet about a very special organization with some special kids. Check this out.
The First Year Experience Program is a new initiative launched at Florida A&M University to help incoming freshmen adapt to college. The program teaches students valuable principles and tactics which enables freshmen to become more efficient with schoolwork, time management, and balancing priorities.
The first year experience program came about through input from students, faculty, and staff concerning the necessity for students to have a transition method as they enroll at the university to make sure they have a smooth transition from high school to college, and informing them of information they need for critical thinking as they maneuver through the college atmosphere.
Doing it. Usually when you get to be about a junior or senior, the pace picks up because our professors don't rush.
Students take part in skits, organization panels, classroom discussions, and test assessments to help develop some early skills and knowledge about the university and its inner workings. Peer mentors help students to develop these strengths with real-life testimonies.
And to make sure that they are on their P's and Q's, they are making sure that they always get their work done, that they're in class and they understand the importance of getting a better education.
But I'm just here to reach out to the freshmen and just make sure they make it through here successfully.
And I don't know if you care or not, but it's the truth. Your friends really do reflect who you again.
Study together, we're broken up into groups, so it's real good with getting to know new people, so when we come into the fall, we're not so clueless and we already have an advantage over all the other freshmen because we know the campus, we know the teachers, and so far it's been a good experience for all of us.
The peer mentoring program will be a year-round guide for many students this coming fall and spring. For more information on this program, please visit www.famu.edu.
We love FYE!
I represent
Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, October 3rd, 1887. What?
For more information about this story and others, go to brandnews.com.
Excellent work, Jay. I love stories like those, and I hope you all were impressed enough to the point that you will, when you have the opportunity to support schools and organizations that's supporting and educating your youth. Now for our last but not least story, which is actually a commentary from yours truly, inspired by something I read in our News to Know section from thegrio.com, which was my friend Chuck D calls out Kanye West and Jay-Z over Otis lyrics. If you've seen the video, Chuck D points out the fact that the prison industrial complex in the video is not swagger. Whips wheeling is a million miles away from what people are really feeling in regards to their own whips and gas prices, and how the current unemployment rate is a reflection of the 16.2% of those suffering depression inside a recession. While some have grown to prefer to hear about the lavish lifestyles of others than to be reminded about the trials and tribulations of their own, it is the same conditioning that has kept commercial hip-hop stagnant for so long. Where's the balance? Chuck states, as commercial hip-hop sits on the ever-multiplying world of commerce, it is up to artists such as Jay-Z and Kanye West, who have risen from rags to riches, to take the responsibility to set the standards for what people hear. At first, I totally agreed with his and many others with the same point of view on the matter, but then I started reminiscing about the very early days of rap in the 80s and the influence it had on me and others my age. The early recordings like Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five Super Rapping, the Sugar Hill Gang's Rapper's Delight, the Funky 4+1 More with That's the Joint, and many more were all about the extravagant lifestyle dreams we had if and when we ever get any money. I teach my students that the main ingredient to any hit record is the common thought, an experience, and or desire among many, and that's what made those records big hits then and makes hit records today. In addition to that music, I was introduced to seeing that very music bring people of my own age from the boogie down Bronx, money-making Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island with our fresh-to-death gear, dancing with whites, from 5th and Madison Avenue with their expensive business attire at the after-work parties at clubs like 1018 with DJ Jazzy J and Africa Bambaataa on the ones and twos. I never forgot it. That music, those images, and the experiences played a big part and had a major effect on me and became the inspiration to change the course of my life from being another prison and dead teenage statistic in New York City. I testify with conviction to audiences that God used hip-hop to save my life. Because of those many close calls I had, I can totally understand and relate to the keeping it real mindset that's supposed to be about telling the truth to our audiences. But I've embraced another reality taught to me by Dr. A.R. Bernard, pastor of the Christian Cultural Center in Brooklyn, New York. That is, when you take truth to an extreme, it becomes error. Balance once again. The audiences that digest our so-called realities and truths mostly consist of very young, undeveloped minds who have not lived enough life to wisely balance what they hear and see in the music videos to what awaits them on the other side of the front door to their homes. interesting thing about my early days in hip hop was a few short years later, after having my fill of If I Had rap records, I was introduced to Public Enemy's first album, and that was the view of a bigger picture called Accountability. So, my question to Chuck D and us all is, what makes what Watch the Throne represents any different from what rap records we heard in the 80s? Is it because rappers now rap about what we actually have and do? And the rappers in the 80s rapped about what they would do if they had the means. What changed? I'm asking you all to read Chuck D's concerns at thegrio.com. Think about the question and give me your thoughts. That's it. And again, thank you all very much for your support. Please feel free to contact myself and Team BNZ at brandnews.com about any story or information you believe would be an awesome story to shed light on and to share with others. God bless you, and I'll see you next week. All right, y'all, time to go to work.